Ahmed Gumi, Cleric of Blood and Face of Hate by Femi, Fani, Kayode. I am a Christian. I was born one and I will die one. I take my faith very seriously, and I count it as being more important to me than anything else in life. Despite that, I supported and campaigned vigorously for a Muslim ticket in the 2023 presidential election because I believe that religion has no place in politics and that competence is the relevant factor when it comes to leadership rather than faith. That does not, however, mean that as a Christian, I will stand by quietly and allow anyone to denigrate my faith. I believe that both Christians and Muslims should and must be given their due respect in this country, and that the adherents and leaders of both of these great faiths must let love guide their every word and actions and strive to live together in unity, peace, and harmony. I also believe that where we see danger signals and identify circumstances and individuals that may threaten that peace and harmony, we must challenge and expose them, call them to order before it is too late, and bring them to the attention of the authorities. It is for these reasons that I have made the following well-researched and detailed contributions about a man that I believe can best be described as the cleric of blood. We saw the face of hate and spirit of ISIS, that is the ISIS, manifest itself in the most barbaric and profound manner when Hamas unleashed its unadulterated savagery on the people of Israel on October 7, 2023, inciting provocative and insulting words. On that day, the Jewish state experienced its darkest hour. Sadly, that face is rising and raising its bloodlusting and bloodthirsty head in Nigeria today. The inciting, provocative, and deeply insulting words, which I shall quote in this contribution from a man that hates Christians, Middle Belters, and Southerners with what the Holy Bible describes as a perfect hatred, and a man that is vicious, psychopath, a dangerous, superversive, and an unrelenting and insidious religion and ethic bigot will prove it. He is indeed the cleric of blood, destruction, and carnage, and his name is Sheikh Ahmed Gumi. I am constrained to begin this essay with a link to his sermon, as repugnant as it was, which was delivered in a Kaduna mosque a few days ago. I suggest that readers trace the link on Google and go through it carefully so that they can fully appreciate the gravity and depravity of his dangerous allegations and perverse assertions. Now it is clear that there are some hidden yet sinister and dark forces both within and outside Nigeria that are behind this evil man and that are encouraging him to continue to tread this reckless and dangerous course. He is a believer in the doctrine of Takfir and a committed adherent of the headline Salafist Wahhabi philosophy, which forms the bedrock and foundation of the evil organizations that the Arabs described as Dish. His late father, Sheikh Abubakar Gumi, was an equally controversial cleric with a massive following and a committed hardline Islamist. Such was the senior Gumi's zeal for Islamic fundamentalism and obsession for our country to be transformed into an Islamic state that he once infamously proclaimed before a massive congregation of his followers and disciples that a Christian would only rule Nigeria over his dead body. It is instructive to note that the man died not too long after that, and a Christian by the name of Chief Ernest Shenukan became head of state in what was then described as an interim government. The dark forces that Ahmed Gumi, his father Abubakar Gumi, and those that think like them represent have little to do with the great and compassionate faith of Islam, which insists on equity, justice, tolerance, submission to the will of God, and peace. The fact that they are unable to accommodate and live peacefully with others, including real Muslims and Christians, in a multi-religious, multicultural, multi-ethnic nation like ours makes them enemies of the Nigerian state and the Nigerian people as well. Un-Islamic, anti-Christian, intolerant, aggressive, delusional, stubborn, intemperate, intransigent, uncompromising, ignorant, blind, deaf, dumb, intellectually deficient, and wholeheartedly relentless in their arrogant assertions and archaic. These extremists are not only a danger to all, but they are also presently an essential threat to our nation. When he was confronted with a barrage of criticisms and outrage from Nigerians after his sermon, Ahmed Gumi expressed no remorse, and instead he said, "I will not respond to irritants in democracy." What an insensitive and arrogant soul he is. This is the kind of man that would have been celebrating and having multiple orgasms while watching the slaughter and massacre of innocent and helpless Jewish women and children by the beasts of Hamas on the CNN on October 7th. The only saving grace in this whole ugly episode is the fact that some northern elders have displayed true leadership and commitment to the peace, unity of Nigeria and disowned Gumi over his threats. Again, the chief E.K. Clerk-led PADEF, who spoke for the people of the South-South and Niger Delta and Middle Belt Forum, which also spoke for the people of the Middle Belt, put him in his place. Bishop El Buba, Sunday Iboha, and Asari Dokbo have also spoken out against him and his divisive rhetoric on behalf of the church, the Southwest and the South-South respectively. Well, this is a commendable and encouraging way and effort. Now, for the records, my response to his malodorous and repugnant diatribe is as follows: that the scripture that came to my spirit after reading his dangerous and utterly outrageous incitement was Psalm 59, verse 2, which says, "May the Lord deliver us from bloodthirsty and evil men." I am simply astounded by the hateful disposition, poisonous venom, putrid verbiage, and assertions, malicious deceits, perfidious falsehood, and divisive rhetoric coming from a man who lays claim to being a pious and peaceful religious leader. Gumi is clearly a man that delights and revels in carnage, butchery, bloodshed, strife, war, and perpetual and never unending conflict. He is also the face of hate and full embodiments and living manifestations of the spirit of ISIS. Thankfully, he does not represent the Muslim community in our country. He only represents Daesh, ISWAP, ISIS, El-Shabaab, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Hamas, and Boko Haram. He does not represent reasonable, rational, peace-loving, pious, and serious-minded northern Muslim leaders like the Sultan of Sokoto, the Emir of Kano, the Shehu of Borno, the Sheikh Dahiru of Bauchi, Professor Isa Pantami, the Senator Ahmed Sani Yerima, Sheikh Mohammed Sani Yahaya, Sheikh Elzak Zaki, and so many others that we know and whose integrity and commitment to the peace and unity of Nigeria we can vouch for. He only represents the violent, extremist, and murderous beasts that are on the lunatic fringe. Religious ethnic war, yet whichever way you view him, one thing is clear, that Gumi is attempting to ignite a religious and ethnic war in Nigeria, and someone needs to call him to order before it is too late. When he says Southerners and Christians cannot be trusted with security, that the FCT minister is satanic simply because he received the Israeli ambassador in his office, and that those of us that supported a Muslim ticket are worthless, hypocrites, money mongers, and accursed citizens who chase dollars for pleasure and worldly purposes, it is clear that he has lost touch with reality and that he is looking for trouble. Someone please tell this dangerous, deluded, malevolent, mentions, and misguided little creature that there is no longer any place for religious or ethnic politics and bigotry in Nigeria. He dismisses the fact that the President, the Vice President, the Minister of Defense, the Minister of State of Defense, the National Security Advisor, the DG of DSS, the DG of NIA, the Chief of Air Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Staff to the President, the Speaker of the House of Rep, and the Chief Justice of the Federation are all Muslims, and insists that Muslims must also be in charge of the command and controls of all structures and our security and intelligence agencies and the three arms of the military, namely the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Of course, he was ecstatic when under the Buhari's administration, every single one of the Nigerian 17 security agencies and branches of the military were under the command and control of not just Muslims, but northern Muslims. That arrangement, despite its blatant disregard for the principles of federal character and ethnic and religious balancing, gave him joy. Now, clearly, he wants us to return to that unjust, unacceptable, and dangerous arrangement. Better still, given his words, by his rapt and asane logic, he would prefer us to remove all Christian personnel from our military and intelligence and security agencies and ban them from joining and allowing only Muslims to serve. Yet, his nonsense did not stop there. He went on to say that the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, would not be allowed to remain in power for the next 4 or 8 years unless he met their demands. Now, finally, he made his most absurd and asinine point when he ended his sermon by saying that because Nyesom Wike, the Minister of FCT, who happens to be a Southerner and a Christian, received the Israeli ambassador in his office, it meant that Tinubu's government are planning to turn Abuja into a Tel Aviv where Muslims would be targeted and killed. Two questions are relevant here. Do Christians and Southerners have the right to be Minister of Federal Capital Territory, and does Nigeria have diplomatic relations with the State of Israel? If the answer to both are in the affirmative, then I really do not understand what all the fuss is about. I do not believe or subscribe to erroneous notions that the Minister of FCT is the exclusive preserver of northern Muslims, and neither do I believe that Nigeria, a nation with over 120 million Christians, should ever sever its diplomatic ties with the State of Israel. A Christian cannot head the FCT because it is in the north, but a Muslim can head NNPC whose oil is in the south? Is this not warped logic? As a pastor friend of mine asked, are we not mad in this country? Gumi also said Christians always kill Muslim leaders, when they are in power and when they have the opportunity to do so. He said that power should not have been given to the South earlier this year and expressed their view that if this had to be so, there should have been concrete security guarantees from the new order that all northern Muslims would remain safe and not be butchered. This assertion betrays the fact that he and those he represents do not regard our president as a Muslim. That is the implications of what he has said. Worse still, deep down, those that think like him do not regard any Yoruba or Southern Muslim as a real one. That is the pitiful and shallow level of their ignorance, bigotry, and effrontery. He went on to indulge in a mischievous and nonsensical journey of historical revisionism, making all sorts of wild and inaccurate claims.